Welcome, 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 welcome. I figured it out. All right. Sometimes this thing gives me a little trouble, but I'm so happy to be here with you this, what is it, Wednesday morning at 11 a.m. We are speaking with Shadrika, and I cannot wait for you to hear her story and to wait for you to hear exactly how she's helping chronic illness warriors all around the world. So I'm not going to belabor it any longer. I want to bring her up so that we can start. If you have not been with us before, this is In the Loop with Lupus in Color. We are streaming on YouTube as well as Instagram, and it will be seen over at Facebook a little bit later. So let me bring up Shadrika and we can start listening to her story. Hold on. Hey there, Shadrika.
Hi,
How are you today?
I'm well.
Awesome, awesome. I'm so glad to speak with you and to share your story and to share everything that you're doing to help us as we deal with this lupus and other chronic illnesses. So let's start by you telling us just a little bit about yourself, when you were diagnosed with lupus, and how you're doing since then.
Okay, so like she said, my name is Shadrika, and I diagnosed with lupus in 2008 at the age of 20 years old. So
Wow.
very tender, very tender. And my lupus journey was a struggle for sure. Especially in the early stages because I don't feel like as a 20-year-old, I didn't think of sickness being that serious.
Mm.
Um, Also because I'm young and you think you can just live your life. You don't have to. Them doctors don't know what they're talking about.
Right.
So I did neglect myself early on, and I had to pay for that. Um, so I got to the point where I was just in and out of the hospital a lot, and I had tonsillitis where I couldn't speak. I couldn't eat because my throat was so sore I couldn't swallow,
Mm-hmm.
and then I lost my ability to walk. So my mother was pretty much my caretaker,
Okay.
and she would take care of me, work night shift, and then take care of me throughout the day.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I just was, like a little baby again. And my mother literally had to feed me baby food to get me to be nourished enough to get to a doctor.
Wow.
So that's another thing that I think is so important in being young is that having medical insurance, even though you seem healthy, is still important because I did not have that. I was not able to have the access to care that I needed.
Right.
Um, yeah, so that was like the early stages. From there, I bounced back. I was able to, have physical therapy, speech therapy, occupational therapy, get myself back together. I started going to therapy for mental health because that was a traumatic experience. Um, let's see. And from there, I just pretty much have flares here and there. Basically, my triggers are the sunlight and stress,
Mm-hmm.
and my skin will just completely break out because lupus does affect your organs, and your skin is the biggest organ on your body, so that's what it affects on me.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, since 2000, what you said, 2008, correct?
I mean,
So from now that you're where you are today, which pretty much healthy beyond lupus, with some flares every now and again, can you? They say that hindsight is 2020. Can you see right before you got the tonsillitis anything that was bubbling up that you might not have seen because you were so young when you were diagnosed?
yes, for sure. I love hard,
That's all right, baby.
and I give everything in me. Literally, I will love you to my death. And I was in a situation with a boyfriend of mine, and it was a struggle, and it just made me sick because I just was not taking care of myself. I was so stressed out trying to keep up with that relationship and being in love and filling the void things that I was missing growing up. And yeah,
Yeah.
that was the culprit for me.
Yeah, yeah. You can look back on it now and laugh about it like, why was I doing this to myself? But like you said, you were young. I was just talking to a young man that I met at one of our functions, and he was 12 years old when he was diagnosed, and he's now 20 in college. It's
Mm.
so hard for young people to have to deal with lupus. What kind of things did you do? I know you had the support of your family and your parents. Were you also in school, and were you doing other things? How did you manage all of that?
So at the time, I was in community college
Okay.
when I got my diagnosis. I actually passed out on the lawn at school. So that's when I realized that I was actually something was more serious than me just my throat being sore.
Right.
Um, but after that, I did go to school. I went to cosmetology school because I knew that I needed something that would be flexible with my schedule. And so
Mm,
cosmetology, I liked doing hair at the time. It was something I'm okay with. So I was like, well, let me just do something
right.
to, always have something to follow on. So I was thinking of future of what my life would look like having this chronic condition.
Right. Right. Right.
And I'm pretty responsible in that way anyway. It's just basically when I'm in a relationship, I just throw all that out to the
Yeah, I think we all have a tendency to do that.
yeah. So school was okay, I completed it. I got my license. I was proud of myself to, push myself to, do something more than
Right.
what I would have thought I would have been able to do because they did not think I was gonna be there. I was in hospice care, they were like
Mhm.
telling me this is pretty much it. And my mama was not having it. So that's
I love
the level of support,
Yeah.
my family and yeah, I did do a little school.
Yeah, yeah, and that's good. I think that it's great that your family was there. A lot of people are navigating this journey by themselves and might not have that support. So I'm so happy that your parents were there to support you and to help you and to get through it. So now, when you finally got to the point where, okay, I have the right cocktail to make me feel just a little bit better, some semblance of health beyond lupus, what did you start to do to help you get even further past that, embrace that whole purpose in your life?
I again, like I mentioned before, I think that I just started thinking about the future. Like, what would this future look like
Mm-hmm.
with this, because I honestly feel like because I was in that relationship, my life was tied into, being together with someone and what the
Mm-hmm.
future looked like with them
Right.
versus what did I really want? What did I really want to do? How was my life gonna look? So that's when I really got into planning. Um and using the physical planner to be able to track my mood, stay on top of my medications, um, therapy appointments, all those things that we just have to remember because I had trouble sleeping. And it was because I was just trying to keep so many things in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And before all of that, because I let's not forget, before all of that, my foundation was faith. It was God. It
Okay.
was belief. It was prayer. It was prayer journal. Like I got a notebook. I mean, Tupperware under my bed this long, full of notebooks that I would just pray and pray and pray and just ask for healing. And to the point
Mhm.
where I was believing the other side of this.
Right. Right. That's
That was the
important.
foundation. It is, and it don't have to be for those who don't believe in God. Just faith and belief in something that
Right.
you.
Something bigger than yourself.
Mhm.
And that probably is what kind of pivoted everything that you were doing in your life.
Yes, for sure.
So now you figured it out that your faith was the push for you to continue to move on. What did you do from there? How did you create chronically planned, and how does that work for other lupus warriors that you help?
So first, I this was like a little bit maybe 2018. I started hosting like planning parties and um virtual, not virtual, vision board parties,
Okay.
and just getting women together, and we just have little finger foods, and we just plan, and just be creative. Because the way that I plan, I'm a creative planner, so
Right.
I use that as a way of art. and I used stickers and colored pens and papers, and it brought me joy. It was something that, because I'm just not an outside type of girl. I'm just
I get
not.
you.
I never have been. Maybe that's what faith and conviction keeps me from being able to, be like that. Which is, if that's your thing, that's your thing, but just not mine. So I had to find something I could do in the house.
I feel
Plus,
you.
when you are chronically ill, the social life aspect of things look different. So I had to create what my social life would look like. People who do things and like things that I do.
Right.
And so that's where the planning aspect of things came from.
Hmm.
And then I originally had my podcast, which was, I still have my podcast, but it was called Lupus Speaks.
Hmm.
And it was just more so me saying, okay, I can speak now. I can
Hmm.
share my story. I can help others. And at first, it wasn't even that big. You know what I mean? For me, it was just more so I just wanted to vent out what I was experiencing, what I was going through, and maybe in hopes that it would help someone. I
Right.
didn't realize like how big of an impact
Hmm.
that it really could turn into.
Right.
His advocacy just wasn't even a thing.
Yeah.
Um, but it turned into chronic planning because I was just talking to a friend and she was like, "You love planning so much. You have to figure out a way to put chronic,
Right.
planning
Right.
and lupus together." And that was
Yeah.
my whole goal, is to help the community in this way, because I feel like the lack of planning is a lack of vision, it's a lack of purpose,
Mm.
everything. And
Yes.
so if you don't have vision, you perish. If you don't have joy, if you don't have creativity,
Hmm.
you have the power to control that.
Right.
And I think that sometimes with living with the chronic illness, being isolated, being alone,
Hmm.
not knowing what to do because you don't know how to, plan around something that you don't know. So
Right.
why make plans anyway? It's not about that. It's the
Right.
vision. It's outside of that. And I think that's what has gotten me to this point.
I got you. I got you. I love it. I love how you talked about how can you take chronically planning and chronic illness and merge them together. So if someone is looking to begin planning, what are the first three steps that you would tell them to do to start to really be mindful? Because that's exactly what it is
My
being mindful of what you are doing and what you want in your life and how you can get it. What are the first three steps you would give them?
The first steps is pen and paper. A journal, a notebook. Doesn't have to be pretty. It doesn't have to be scribbles all over it. Just jotting down and just sitting still and visualizing something outside of what you see every day, because that's
Mm.
what faith is. It is believing of something that is not actually there in the present, and that is how you start to walk into what you actually want.
Mm.
So the first
Mm.
thing is pen and paper and visual. I can never say this word. I don't care
Visualization.
who
I love it.
so I'm on, like, it does not come out, but you get the point.
Visualization. I got you.
There we go.
I love it.
That, and then I would say just reading, because reading kind of guides your mind of outside and takes you escape outside of things that you normally would see every day.
Okay.
Um, I know that kind of don't really go together, but reading, it
Okay.
elevates you in a way. It
No,
educates.
it does because you know what? Sometimes I think that we often are looking at what's going on all the time, and we fail to tap into that faith of knowing that we've overcome. And then sometimes that reading kind of gets us out of that mode of looking at the past and brings us into sort of like the future, like what you were saying,
Yeah.
you know?
Uh, what's my third thing? Because I want to give good ones. I have,
You had it all in your head, right? And then it was like, ah.
you know what? My third thing is, because I have a framework that I live by, that I just kind of built based off of my beliefs and the way that I've done things. But the first thing is faith. The second thing is plan. And then the third thing is execute. Don't sit still. Don't wait. Don't wait till you feel better. Don't wait till you start. Not necessarily feel better, but like don't wait till you have the
What's up?
perfect this or the perfect that, or you look this way or you look that way, or I have my like, because you don't know if that day is going to come. So just do it right in there. Do it now. Do it scared. Do it. Just do it.
I love
Because
that.
at the
That
end
faith
of the
plan
day,
execute.
I realize no one else is going to be able to change their life for you.
No one's going to do it for you. No one's going to have the faith for you. No one's going to plan for you. No one is definitely going to execute it for you. So I love that whole faith plan execute. I'm so big on words. I love those three words together
Mm-hmm.
because it really makes a difference in how you fight lupus or any chronic illness.
Anything, just life.
Life,
I to
right?
have faith. You got to plan for it because you got to
Mhm.
prepare, and then you have to take them plans that you wrote down and you have to see it out. You have to see it. That's the whole bundle of what faith is.
Right. And without works,
It's
can't do
dead.
anything without it. You know what I'm saying? Hey, you gotta move. You gotta do something.
Mhm.
Kimberly says the calendar is real. Ooh,
It
yeah,
is so real.
it
Yeah.
is. It is. But you know what? Sometimes I do. I put it on my calendar. I get the reminder. I'll write it down, and I still forget it. What's going? How do you combat that?
I let it be. No, I'm serious because I write down the bin list of shot, what time I'm supposed to do it. See, the thing about planning is not perfection. You know what I'm saying?
Ooh,
Like
I
life
love it.
still happens. I'm not aiming to be perfect. I'm
Mm,
just aiming to have direction. So yes, I'm gonna be forgetful. That's what lupus brain fall is. Yes, I'm going to maybe not have the energy to do what I said that I was going to do yesterday, but that's okay. Like living and honoring myself, honoring my body, and respecting the things that I need. Like I have a whole content plan for today, but I don't feel good. I'll show up when I can and how I can in the way that is right for me, not looking for perfect.
I love that.
God didn't ask me to be perfect. He just
Right,
told me to show up
right. As is.
as I am.
Yep. Awesome. Awesome. I so absolutely love planning is not perfection. You're not aiming to be perfect, just trying to have direction. And I think a lot of us lose that direction. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah. Oh yes.
It's
And
so
it's
easy to
gonna
do it.
happen. It's
Right.
gonna happen. Your life, like my 20-year-old self is not my 26-year-old self when I had my first daughter. And then it's not my 35-year-old self when I had my second daughter. And it's not my 37-year-old self now with navigating two kids and a chronic illness and a business and like it it doesn't it's never the same. You just have to have some type of vision to keep aligning yourself back to what you previously wrote. And sometimes you have to change courses, but that's okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love that. I love that. When you're setting your direction, it's okay to veer off and change and adapt and you know make new plans if you have to.
Yep. Adapt and overcome.
Right? Right? Look at that. Faith, plan, execute, adapt, and overcome. Hey, girl, listen. You done said a word. You done said a word. That's a whole sermon in itself. I'm not gonna lie to you. Because you know what? I think a lot of people do who maybe people that don't have the faith. They have to have faith in something bigger than themselves. I don't care what it is. It could be the universe, it could be Jehovah, it could be, Allah. It doesn't really matter as long as you're starting that direction, correct?
Correct.
Absolutely, absolutely. So now, with the chronically planned business that you have, how do you work with people to get them to a point where their mindset has changed and they see the importance of setting a plan? How do you explain to them how important it is? I know you explained a little bit just now of setting that plan and understanding that the plan is there just to direct you.
Mhm. Um, Again, like I said, my foundation is going to be faith, so I'm really heavy in faith. Right now, I am actually this Friday, I'm hosting a class where I'm teaching a group of women, basically the framework, building the faith and how strongly you believe in this thing that you're trying to obtain. It could be weight loss. It could be going switching your diet. It could be planning for your business or a podcast. It could be anything.
Mm-hmm.
But how strongly do you believe? And then we work on the planning portion. Like, what kind of planner are you? You're A type, B type. Do you like digital? Do you like paper and pen? Do you like both? Like how, like learning your planner style, and then just having certain things and tools to help you remember, like just having your planner out in the open, that way you have access to seeing it, just different things like that. And just executing and then holding people accountable. I feel like when you flock together within a group and you gather as one, you do better, what I'm
Right.
saying, in the right environments, in the right groups. And so that's what I pretty much teach in with it.
Yeah. And you said you have a class Friday. Can
Yes,
anyone join that class?
anyone can join.
And how do they get to that class?
They can go to www.chronicallyplan.com/shop/membership. So this is a paid membership, and you basically pay for a one-time fee this go round, which is $57, and you'll get the basics and the fundamentals of planning. And if you decide to go forward, then if you lock in right now at the $57 price, then your monthly payment would be $37 a month versus what it is for everybody else if they wait.
Okay. I got you. I got you. So chronically, I put chronicallyplan.com and then they can navigate from there, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Now, look, guys, this is something that is something for you. It's not. Sometimes I think that we want a physical thing in our hand when we purchase something, but the reality is that sometimes the physical is not what you need. It's the knowledge and the information and support.
Yeah, the
Other people.
community, because if it
Yeah.
was for the community, I don't think that I would have been so, let's see, excited about it.
Right. Right.
It's like you throwing something out there and you're like waiting for it to like bite, and then it's like, yo, this community is cheering you on. They're like, yay, congratulations, you're
Yeah.
so beautiful. You're doing a great job. I love this. Thank you for talking about this or having this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Like that keeps the momentum going and makes me feel like I'm actually doing something
Yeah.
worth doing.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, you're definitely doing stuff that's worth doing because we all need to have that direction. You can't be walking around having lupus or whatever chronic illness you have and not have a plan for your day.
Yeah.
You wouldn't go to school and not have a plan as to how you're going to do your schoolwork. So your life is like school. You got to make sure that you have a proper plan that can help you get to where you need to be.
Yes, ma'am.
What would you say to what 3 pieces of advice would you give a lupus warrior that is struggling with direction because of pain?
Hope.
Mm.
Hold on. Pain ends.
Yep, absolutely.
Just keep the faith, keep the hope alive. But just start with where you are. It could be very small, simple things.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was me at a point. My goal was just to be able to make it from out of the bed with my walker and take myself to the bathroom. At one point it was me learning how to get in the wheelchair and actually move it with my hand. So wherever you are, baby step.
Mm. That part. We forget about the baby steps and how the baby steps turn into grand adult steps.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. What's your number 2?
I'm an advocate of writing stuff down. Get it out of your head,
Mm-hmm.
because it's like this thing when you in school, right? And they say write this over and over again. I will not talk back to my teacher. I will not talk. Like eventually, it programs in your mind. Like because my favorite was by his stripes I am healed.
Mm-hmm.
So by his stripes I am healed. And then it just programs that I am healed, and that's Mostly what I would say, just come up with something that you are, looking forward to, and just write it down
Right.
over and over
Over
every
and
day.
over again. Yeah, it's just like when we were kids and we liked the boy and we wrote our name and his last name.
Yeah.
You remember those days? I'm
Yes.
gonna be so and so, Mrs. Jones, or whatever the case
Hmm.
may be. I don't know if it ever happened for anybody, but it's a process. Everything is a process of that whole mind body connection. What you put in your mind is eventually going to manifest in your body.
Hmm.
You know, and so if we're continuously saying I'm suffering, I'm suffering, I'm sick, then our body is going to present that to us. And I always say it's not to say that lupus is in your head, but lupus is in your head because you have to be able to really cope and deal with the things that come with lupus. And that's what planning is all about too. It's a
Yeah.
coping mechanism, correct?
Yeah. Like you are what you speak. That was like one of my very first episodes. You are what you
Mhm.
speak, and that was like 4 years ago.
And it's
Um.
scary when you say that, when you say you are what you speak. I think people get scared with that,
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
know?
But that's the truth. Like whatever you believe, you are right. You are absolutely like, and this profound, and this probably off topic, but
No, you're fine.
my daughter was playing with her cousin this years ago, and I don't know if you remember this show, but back in the day, they used to have a show called Goosebumps,
Hmm.
and they were just like kind of introduced to it. So they were looking at it, and they were just laughing and playing, blah 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 blah. And then later on that night, the little girl, my cousin, she was terrified. Like I'm like hours later, you scared of what you saw on Goosebumps,
Right,
and
right.
I said, "Dang, she made herself believe that she was scared time after time. Later on,
Yeah,
it just something clicked in my head and was like, whatever you strongly believe, you can put there and make it like a real thing. Like whatever it is, you're right. Like if you believe you're not gonna get healed, you're right. If you not believe you are so sick, nothing's gonna change, you're right. If you believe that you're alone and there's nobody with you, you're right.
absolutely. Absolutely.
So it's like, but if I believe that I can have a community, people that love me, that support me, like I'm right.
Yeah. We have to definitely change our self-talk.
Hmm.
Definitely change that self-talk and allow our mind to train our body what to do.
Yeah.
And what's your third one?
My third one was at the top of my brain, and then my fault came across me when I was talking about the other thing, and I forgot.
I love
No,
it.
no, 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 no. My third thing is seek therapy.
Say to them again for the people in the back. I know that's right.
Therapy is something you absolutely need because having a chronic illness is traumatic.
Hmm. Hmm.
Dealing with the words lupus, even if you don't even know what it means,
Right.
if you had to live that out, I don't care if you was diagnosed yesterday or if you was diagnosed 30 years ago, you
Right.
need to seek a therapist. Processing life, figuring out what could have caused that trigger back then and when, and what could you do to navigate that. Like just, you know, therapy.
Yeah. It's important. It's important. I'm gonna tell you, it's important. And I think that a lot of times, especially in different cultures, therapy is seen as a bad word. You know, don't
Mhm.
tell my business outside my house, and you know
Right.
what I'm saying. And we have to get to the point where we're okay with speaking to someone who can give us an objective opinion about
Yeah.
what's going on.
Yeah, especially people who don't know you, because you always have that bias, and then if it's somebody that you're close to, you're gonna take what they say, and that's just what it is. Versus you really navigating somebody that's totally biased and giving you, real feedback,
Absolutely, absolutely, and not even just real feedback, but productive feedback. You
productive feedback.
know,
Absolutely,
because all feedback ain't for you. So that productive feedback definitely makes a difference. Kimberly says therapy releases strongholds.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
sometimes people don't even know what their strongholds are. You know what I mean? So
Hello.
it helps identify
Mm,
certain things that you didn't even know was there. Like, you have the typical, oh, mommy issue, daddy issue, and it kind of keeps it there. But it's like, no, it's way deeper than that.
yeah.
So, yeah, it's helping identify.
Absolutely. You said it's way deeper than just trauma itself.
Hmm.
It's a little bit more about how we're training ourselves to deal with this illness. And coping mechanisms are so important. I've enjoyed this conversation.
Yeah.
Always enjoy it. Always enjoy reading your stuff and listening to you. So I'm so happy that you were able to come on with us today. I want to be respectful of your time. Is there anything that you want to share with us that someone can take with them as they go and can use as a coping mechanism day one?
Day one, pen and paper.
I love that you go
And,
right back
and
to that.
and if you don't want to just start with a blank piece of paper, start with a blank calendar
Hmm.
and say, on this day, I'm going to do this. On that day, I'm going to do that. And, you know, I will basically go by my routine. I'm going to get up, I'm going to make my bed because it's easy to crawl right back in there. It's already messy. But if I don't take the time to make it up, I'm gonna stay up. I'm gonna stay productive. I'm gonna find other things to do. Lay on the couch,
Hmm.
read. Whatever you're putting in your mind, like limiting TV, limiting social media. Or if you are on social media, because I do feel like it's not the worst thing.
Right.
Just how much time you spend, and following the right people. Don't be looking at all that drama and shade room and all these things that's going on. Like,
Yeah.
it's cool for entertainment, but it's a distraction. It's
Absolutely.
keeping you away from your purpose. And like, you could be studying the word, or you could be planning your future, but you want to work. Do people got all that money and act like a fool? I don't got time for that.
Right.
I
Right.
got my
That's
certain
not my
shows that I
problem.
do like,
Hmm.
for entertainment, but how much time am I going to allow myself to be entertained with foolishness?
Right. Prioritize what's important.
Yeah.
You know, and foolishness is surely not important in any aspect.
And I was going to say that. I was going to say, even in your own life,
Right.
like that boundary got to be set, that wall got to be created. Like, no,
Right.
you can't come over. No, you're not about to talk to me any kind of way. Like, and this is a new thing for me,
Right.
because I am a giver, and I am a recovering people pleaser because I
Mm,
like, as an oldest child, again, these are things that you learn in therapy as an oldest child. You take on like responsibilities and you can read the room and you want to make other people feel good, so that's I'm
kind of
unlearned.
parentified. Yeah.
And just performing, all the time, it wears you out. It makes you sick because you're not acknowledging like how you feel. You don't get to voice that, so use your voice, use your words. Let your no be a no and your yes be a yes.
Hello, somebody. Hello, somebody.
That's what I would say.
That was the best one yet. Let your no be a no. Your yes be a yes. And do it for you. First love yourself first on any journey in life in general. Prioritize yourself
Mm-hmm.
and set those boundaries like you stated.
Yes, ma'am.
I have so enjoyed this conversation. I could talk to you for hours.
Look, I'm okay. I blocked off an hour, so I'm good.
I always like to talk about, like, how do we get to that point of being able to say no and not feel guilty. You want to talk about that?
Sure. Um, Depending on the person you are,
Mm.
you know, but so I'm struggling with some things behind the scenes, you
Hmm.
know. But one of my things is, when people try to justify their behavior, oh well, it really wasn't like that, or it, but it was, and falling like, because I do this sometimes, and like I said, I'm growing, I'm healing out of this. It's like, well, yeah, it wasn't that bad. It is that bad. You know what I'm saying? They weren't
What it
thinking
is.
of you
Mhm.
when they were doing whatever they did, you know? So who gonna stand up for you? You. Who gonna, so like, again, no one else is coming. They're okay with doing things the way that they've been doing them because you've been okay with. So it's like how they old saying is, you teach people how to treat you.
That part. That part.
So
And
if
you have to stop being scared of that word. No.
But yeah, there is no, you are human, you know what I'm saying? Some people have it to where they done got used to saying no, it don't bother them at all. But again, it will bother me. But that's not gonna change my no is a no. You know what I'm saying? Stand on business, stand on your, because I'm really big on honoring my word.
Absolutely.
To myself and to others.
Right.
So if I said this is a non-negotiable and I'm not doing that, that's what it
That's
is.
what it is. You can't sway me. You can't change my mind because I'm standing on the principle that I keep my word to myself.
To myself, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And it's important because if you don't prioritize that, no, people will run all over you. All over you.
I've been in several flare-ups because I've let people, and I'm not blaming them. I let people get too comfortable with doing me any kind of way. And I don't blame anyone. I would take, myself in the position where it's like, okay, you can't control what other people are doing. You only can control how you respond, how you react, and how long you stay in those situations.
Right.
But nobody's coming to save you. Only you can do it.
Only you can do it. Absolutely. And Kimberly says no is a complete sentence. Absolutely.
It is.
Needs
what
no
a period.
Period, exclamation point, no question mark. just no, period. That's it. That is it. Well, like I said, I have had a great time speaking with you, and I look forward to talking to you again sometime soon about everything that you're doing. Tell everybody where we can reach you at on social media so I can put it in the chat and have it on the screen.
Okay, so you can find me at Speaks on Instagram and lupusspeaks.cp on TikTok and Limit 8. And I'm also on YouTube, but it's like I'm still revamping my YouTube because I really, like, in 2020, I really, 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 really love doing plan with me videos. So I will show you how I'm planning and what I use my planner for. So I'm bringing that back on YouTube, Chronically Planned.
Okay.
And then you can find me at www.chronicallyplanned.com for all the information where you can find me, how you can work with me, how I can help you. Yep.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh,
and now it's your turn. We gotta swap. You gotta come.
Hey, you go ahead and let me know what day, and I'm ready. I'm ready for you. Okay. I love it. Thank you so much for coming on with us, and I hope you have a good day.
You too. Thank you. Right, I feel better already.
Look at you. See, it's the energy. It's the energy. You are feeling better. Thank you, girl. I appreciate you.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Awesome. I love speaking to Shadrika. What a wealth of information. If you have not gone to her website, please hit her website up so you can possibly get into the class on Friday and even get some information on how she can help you as you deal with lupus, with planning and direction is so important. Go to www.chronicallyplanned.com. I probably spelled that wrong on there, but it's www. I know what the World Wide Web is. So chronicallyplanned.com, and go on and sign up for one of her classes and talk to her about how you can help yourself with some planning and direction on your lupus journey. So thank you everybody for always tuning in. You will be able to replay this on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube if you like. Share it with a friend and make sure you follow at Lupus Speaks so that we can have that support system and go from there. So thank you everybody for tuning in to In the Loop Lupus Live. I'll talk to you again tomorrow when we will have another Prinka who will talk about her lupus warrior story and share with you how she overcame. So thank you for always tuning in. I'll talk to you later.